Hey guys, welcome back. Today, we're starting another project series. This series will be about putting DCC and sound into two Bachmann Gp35s. As you can see, this is some of my original footage from 2011, back when I bought my first ever DCC locomotive, CP Rail number 5003. This engine was the start of my adult model train journey, so I'd like to talk about a little history before we start tearing into the locos. When I was a kid, I had a 4x8 layout in the basement, and would spend hours running the trains around my oval track. My grandfather and uncle really nurtured the interest in trains and in the hobby, and it wasn't long before I was hooked. Unfortunately, as I got older, I lost interest in trains, and my layout collected dust and cat hair until my parents divorced. I boxed up a few things I thought were worth keeping and tucked the box into storage. Fast forward about 7 years, and I was working for a year in between high school and college and playing a lot of video games in my off time. I ended up meeting two guys online, Steve and John, who had become some good friends. They lived in New York and were super into trains. Steve in particular would often tell me about his model trains and shared his YouTube channel with me so I could see all the videos of his layout and his rail fanning. It wasn't long until I got that box out of storage, jumped onto a Skype call with him, and went through everything I had kept from my childhood. Now these were nothing special, mostly DaveCo and cheap Bachmann with the odd beat up Athearn. But Steve was always so supportive and really encouraged and inspired me to follow my lost dream of having another train layout someday.
Hello everybody, this is Steve, 8979. Here's a official layout update. This goes out to my buddy Dave, especially because he's been wanting me to make a layout update for him. So, hello Dave.
Now a year later and in college, I was living in a bachelor apartment. I had no room to set anything up, but was still really into trains. After finding out about a train show taking place at my college on a weekend, I convinced my parents to donate some space in their basement. With $100 in my pocket, off I went and started looking around. Being really socially anxious and having no confidence in my knowledge about the hobby, I ended up approaching a stand that had a loco with a familiar paint scheme, and talked with the salesman for a few minutes.
$60. DCC built in. Alright. It's Bachmann. It's a GP35. So, 5003. CP rail. I saw it. Fell in love. My very first DCC engine ever. I literally walked past it 8 times.
I was so excited, and although I know these Bachmann engines are nothing special compared to what's out there, it was enough for me, and I was set. Poor Steve spent hours on Skype answering all my questions and my messages back and forth, and I slowly started to build this new layout in my parents' basement. I started this trend where I would buy rolling stock and track, and slowly build up this layout at my parents' house. And it was pretty terrible. The track plan made no sense, the bench work was a disaster, and things didn't run very well. But I was in love with the hobby once again, and I stuck with it and used every spare dollar to buy more train stuff. A few months later, my parents had to do some repairs in their basement, so I decided to pack everything up and put it back in storage. At that point, I was really aware of the mistakes I'd made when planning and constructing my layout, and I was ready for a fresh start, even though I didn't know when I would get the next chance. A few years later, after purchasing a house with my very supportive then girlfriend, now wife, we made sure to find some space for a new train layout. Eventually, I sold off the Bachmann Gp35, but always had the dream of upgrading the internals and adding some detail. I always figured it was a lost opportunity, that is, until my birthday this year, when I decided to gift myself a set of Bachmann Gp35s off eBay, with a plan to follow that dream. This series will follow my plans for the Gp35s. I plan to upgrade them with fresh internals, a TCS WOW sound decoder, new lights, external detailing, weathering, and I'd like to change the headlights into the nose to match the prototypes. I have pretty limited experience cutting frames and no experience with external detail, so this should get interesting. I hope you guys enjoy, and until next time, enjoy your bacon.